Julie Tetzert, you are a fever. Hey, look, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Y'all said y'all cool with it.
And now they have their opportunity. They have their opportunity as French trans phenom Julie Tetzert looks WNBA ready and is waiting for the league to call. Cheryl Reeve, where are you at? Brianna Turner, Miss I got my degree in inclusivity. Where are you at?
News, a transgender player has been dominating France's second-tier women's basketball league, and now the WNBA question is front and center. Julie Tetzert averages 21 points and 20 rebounds this year, while sweeping Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Domestic Player of the Year honors after a record-breaking campaign. When asked whether she joined the WNBA if a team called, she was quoted as saying, "I won't say no." Indiana Fever, send the shirt, send the shirt, get it all, get everything ready, get the pen and pad ready, going to get the
relations to the WNBA, because it looks like the league finally found the missing piece that's going to fix everything. Not a marketing plan, not a better TV deal, not more arenas. A 34-year-old French center named Julie Tetzert, who just spent a season in France's second division averaging 21 points and 20 rebounds a game, and who says if the WNBA calls, she won't say no.
To get to a subject that I will openly admit is going to be highly sensitive. Some people are going to try to politicize it. It's not about politics to me. It's a sports story. But I don't give a damn how you feel. I'm not running from it. And that involves the WNBA coach. Her name is Cheryl Reeve. She's a coach in the WNBA. She is the coach of the Minnesota Lynx. And during this weekend, in a game against the Indiana Fever, she was seen wearing a Trans Kid Belong t-shirt.
Watching Cheryl Reeve stage a whole shirt and confrontation routine over a policy opinion Sophie Cunningham gave on live TV, you'd think the same league would be sprinting to sign a legitimate MVP caliber player. So where's the phone call? Where's the press release? Somebody get the front office on the line, because apparently inclusion only counts when it comes with a viral moment attached.
To almost weaponize the word kid and children to, dig deep on the feelings of people instead of the facts, which are what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for women. So I just hate it when words like that are weaponized. And Sophie Cunningham made it very, very clear from day one, when, by the way, she didn't bring this up. She was asked by an ESPN reporter about this topic, and she answered. And then as the controversy brewed, she went on Twitter and said the same thing, which is, I am not trying to exclude anyone. Everybody is welcome at my table, but this is the W.
Honest about what the W in WNBA is supposed to stand for. Women. Not whoever, not whichever, just women. That's not a controversial statement. That's the name on the building. The whole point of a women's league existing separately from the men's league is that biology creates real physical differences in size, strength, and speed, and pretending that doesn't matter is how you end up with a women's league that quietly stops being about women.
It's incredible that she is the only current professional athlete on the women's side, certainly here in North America, of the major sports, that has chosen to state the obvious, that women's sports...
Steele already called out the double standard sitting inside this entire saga, and it applies here just as much as it did with the Storm situation. You can't claim to be standing up for women's sports while also standing up to hand the biggest roster spots to whoever shows up with the most impressive...
Think about this for a minute, y'all. The girl have XXXY on the shirt. There's nothing there. Rational people go, I don't really like that shirt. Okay, finish watching the game. The co-owner of the team had to come down and cuss out kids. Listen to Sophie and them team coach. She ain't gonna never let me come to the game, and I don't care. You're a terrible representation for women. Sophie is all y'all got. Roll the clip.
What's your stance? What is your stance on men or athletes who test as biological male participating in women's sports? What's your personal
Great
stance?
question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint.
Not how long it took just to get real accountability out of the Storm situation in the first place. A co-owner cursed at 2 teenage girls, made one of them cry, and it still took the league days of public pressure before anyone even confirmed a punishment. If the league moves that slowly on protecting actual kids in the stands, does anyone really believe it's going to move fast and thoughtfully on a roster decision that reshapes the entire competitive landscape of the sport? History says no. History says this gets handled reactively, after the internet has already picked a side, instead of proactively, with an actual policy in place before the controversy even starts.
She is absolutely dominating. Like physically destroying teams. Like getting the ball off rebounds and just running coast to coast and running in layups. And averaging 20 and 20. And there is a lot of pushback to her being in the league. There is an awful lot of pushback to the French seconds here for allowing
Credit where it's due, the woman can play. She led League 2 in scoring and rebounding, swept Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Domestic Player of the Year, picked up 15 Player of the Week honors, and set a league record with 30 rebounds in a single game back in March. That's a video game stat line. But here's the sarcastic part nobody wants to say out loud. Of course, those numbers look video gamey. When you're 6'3" with a frame built the way male puberty builds a frame, and you're playing against athletes who never went through that, you're not competing anymore, you're just collecting box scores. That's not domination. That's a mismatch with a jersey on.
I want to do it before the Portland Fire do. I mean, hell, you might want to sign Julie Tettard before Cheryl Reeve and the Minnesota Lynx sign Julie Tettard. I'm just saying, don't get mad and don't try to take the credit away from Caitlin Clark when they win with Julie at the power forward center spot. Caitlin Clark absolutely crushed ESPN ratings over the weekend once again. And there's a transgender, Julie Tettard, who's looking to get into the WNBA. I say the Indiana Fever, go ahead and make the move since everybody's all good with it.
Run the pitch. Sign Tettard, put her next to Caitlin Clark, let her set screens all night, and watch the Fever become unstoppable. Sounds great on paper, right? Except walk that forward a little. If a team builds its whole identity around one player's size advantage instead of actual team basketball, that's not a Cinderella story. That's the league quietly turning into an exhibition. Clark spent 2 seasons getting hammered by defenders and grinding out wins the hard way, through footwork, shooting, and reads nobody else in the league can make. What happens to Clark's own development if the answer to every problem becomes get a bigger body to fix it? She built her entire game on being able to shoot from anywhere, read the floor, and make the extra pass, not on having a wall clear a path for her every single possession. Coasting off a mismatch doesn't sharpen a superstar's game, it dulls it. The best version of Caitlin Clark is the one who has to work for every look, not the one who gets handed 20 free ones a night because nobody on the other team can move the person guarding the paint.
Dominated the second-tier French Women's Basketball League 2 by dropping 21 points per game while grabbing 20 rebounds. The biological male, who came out as trans in October 2021, led the league in both categories. It was a season any unlike the league has ever seen. With those numbers, the WNBA should be knocking down Tettard's door, right? Quote, if they contact me, I won't say no. But you have to be realistic. I'm old, and there are far better players than me. The overly humble 34-year-old Tettard told Outkick in French over Instagram direct messages on Monday. Far better? Are you sure? Tettard's season was so dominant that French media was stunned when the shredded center didn't win league MVP honors. The season was still
next 5 seasons if this actually goes the way the internet wants it to go. Tettard sets a screen, defenders get sent flying, Clark gets an open look every single trip, and the Fever start winning by 30 every night. Sounds fun for exactly 1 week. Then it stops being competition and starts being a foregone conclusion, and nobody tunes in to watch a foregone conclusion. Fans don't want a league where one roster move guarantees a title. It wasn't blowouts. It was Clark and Angel Reese going shot for shot. It was Aja Wilson locking horns with Brianna Stewart in a finals that could have gone either way. It was games decided by a possession because both rosters were built on talent, not on a single unbeatable size advantage. Take that tension out of the equation, and you're not left with a better product. You're left with a coronation, and coronations get boring fast.
Media users are calling on the WNBA to sign French basketball player Julie Tatar, who is openly transgender. Her stats are through the roof, and when asked if she was willing to play, if there was an opportunity, she said, if they contact me, I won't say no, but you have to be realistic. I'm old and there are far better players than me. I mean, she's 34, which isn't that old in the WNBA. There's literally a 35-year-old rookie in the league right now, but she averages 20 points and 20 rebounds per game in France. It seems like Julie could be actual competition for someone like Aja Wilson, whose Las Vegas Aces have a 17% chance of winning the WNBA championship this year, according to Kelce Traders. Others are arguing that it is a competitive advantage, and ultimately this wouldn't be fair.
Where the whole thing gets even messier. Because when asked directly what she thought of Sophie's position on keeping biological categories separate, Tatar's answer was one word in French. Aucun. None. So the league would be signing a player who has already, on the record, dismissed the exact concern that got a Storm co-owner suspended and a coach staging a courtside confrontation in the first place. That's not a footnote. That's the entire controversy walking back through the front door wearing a new jersey. Now it might be an actual roster decision that reopens every single argument from both incidents simultaneously, except this time there's no shirt to hide behind and no vague statement that skips the details. Either the league addresses the substance of the question directly, or it keeps getting dragged into the same controversy over and over, wearing a slightly different jersey every time.
You're trying to compete against women, against girls, in women's sports. Trying to act like there's no advantage, when there's no way in hell that there's no advantage. This is not about being anti-anything. This is about being pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies. That's what this is about.
It should be noted that you have coaches and players, female in the WNBA, a women's sport, that have sold out women in this. Right up the river. Nah, we're good. Bring whatever swinging dick in here. Put a wig on him. Let him play. There's one in France right now.
To the locker room conversations. Veterans who've spent a decade grinding their way up through college ball, overseas leagues, and WNBA training camps, watching a size advantage walk in and immediately become the story of the season. How does that sit with the players who actually built this league game by game, year by year, fighting for a fraction of the coverage and pay the men's league gets? Nobody wants to be the one who says it out loud because the discourse around this topic has gotten so loaded, but you don't need a locker room mic to guess what a lot of those players are actually thinking when the storyline becomes biggest body wins.
Chosen to educate myself about the space. I've chosen to listen to transgender families, and what I know is exclusion is not the answer. We've got to find the common ground and be inclusive. That's the space. I think if we all come from that, I also think like I said, the issue isn't as big as the issues that we have in women's sports. Whether it's cisgender men that have held us down for years in spaces like being able to have access to facilities and uniforms and locker rooms, all the things that these young girls that are sitting at games with anti-trans signs, do they understand actually what their real problems are and how they're being marginalized? We're still not in a space where we have equality. We don't even have the Equal Rights Amendment in all 50 states, right? So there's real issues.
Reporters, her shirt was about inclusion and safety for kids. Fine sentiment. Nobody's arguing against kids feeling safe anywhere. But here's the sarcastic gut punch. If the league wants to talk about inspiring young girls, about growing the sport, about giving the next generation of hoopers something to aim for, signing a bigger, stronger player to physically dominate smaller competitors is the opposite of that message. Little girls don't need a lecture about categories and values. They need to watch players who look like them out-hustle, out-shoot, and outwork bigger, stronger opponents using skill. That's the whole appeal of women's basketball. Take that away, and you haven't made the league more inclusive, you've made it less inspiring to the exact demographic it's supposed to be building for. That's the entire pipeline the league is supposed to be nurturing. A generation of girls who believe hard work and skill can get them to the top of their own sport. Nothing about that dream requires importing a bigger frame to solve a marketing headline.
Has said that males, biological males, do not belong in women's sport. That's it. That is the rational, sane, commonly shared stance. It's a safety issue. It's a fairness issue. It's not an anti-trans kids campaign, but this coach saying, all trans kids are this is what they do. The straw man argument. She is trying to say that Sophie is against trans kids and she's excluding them and this is evil. No! It's so dumb. It's so evil. It's so calculated. And this is how they...
Months ago. Women in women's sports, men in men's sports. She never attacked anyone by name, never mocked anyone, just stated a position on competitive fairness. And the more this Tatar story develops, the more that quote is going to get replayed. Not because Sophie was trying to start a fight, but because reality has a funny way of catching up to simple statements. If a 6'3" dominant post player walks into a division rival's front court and starts posting numbers no natural-born woman in the league can match, that ESPN clip isn't going to look controversial anymore. It's going to look like she called it a year early. Turning that into a referendum on someone's character instead of engaging with the actual competitive question is how you end up with a coach wearing a shirt instead of a league office writing a policy.
The shirt, send the shirt. Get it all, get everything ready, get the pen and pad ready, go on and get the contract. We're talking player of the year, defensive player of the year, domestic player of the year. Go ahead, record-breaking campaign. Go ahead and look at this. Let's take a look at the highlights, why don't we? Let's take a look at these highlights.
Fall à 3 points qui décoche.
Rebound, pushing it up the floor. Looking like Giannis. Euro style. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sign me up, baby. Sign me up. Oh, yeah. We ain't going to have to worry about homie missing layups. We ain't going to have to worry about homie missing layups. Monique Billings, go ahead and take 3 seats. Take 3 seats, Monique Billings. We got a new starting power forward. Aaliyah Boston, you go to power forward. We got a...
Online have already started asking why no team has moved yet. Some hyped, some clearly testing whether the league will actually practice what it preaches. Here's the thing though, and it's worth saying plainly instead of hiding behind hashtags, most of the fans watching this league don't care about any of the politics. They didn't tune into Fever games to watch a referendum on gender policy play out on ESPN. They tuned in because Caitlin Clark can drop a 30-footer off the dribble, because A'ja Wilson can take over a fourth quarter by herself because the skill level in this league has quietly gotten ridiculous over the last few years. Nobody's turning on a WNBA broadcast hoping to see a think piece. They want good basketball, competitive basketball. That's the entire product. Nobody bought a ticket because of a press release about inclusion. They bought a ticket because the games were good and the storylines felt real. That's the lesson buried inside all of this noise, and it's the one the league keeps somehow forgetting every time a new controversy pulls
the plot when it comes to, Title IX and the fact that people are actually trying to defend biological men playing in the same sports field as biological women. I don't know where we lost the plot to that. Biological women and biological men need to be playing in different sports arenas. Or you could take trans men and trans women and put them together in their own Special Olympics. That's fine. But the fact that this needs to be defended, the fact that this is controversial, the fact that this could come out with some type of phobia attached to it is insanity. Sylvia Cunningham does not ever mince her words. She says what she says and she means what she says. And I appreciate her once again.
Joke sitting at the center of this whole story. The league spent a week acting like the most important thing in the world was a t-shirt and a confrontation with a player who never attacked anyone. Meanwhile, the actual foundational question, whether a men's puberty-built body should be occupying a roster spot in a women's league, gets treated like an afterthought that only matters if it happens to be politically convenient in the moment. You can't have it both ways. Either the categories mean something or they don't, and if they don't, you might as well stop calling it a women's league and just call it a league, because the W stops meaning anything the second the biggest, strongest athlete on the floor didn't get there by being a woman in the first place. Nobody's saying Tatar isn't a good athlete. It needs better coverage, better arenas, better pay, and more little girls picking up a basketball because they saw someone who looks like them do something incredible on their own terms. Signing a dominant male-bodied player to solve a marketing problem doesn't get the league any closer to that. It just hands the sports critics a highlight reel and calls it progress.
One part of all this that nobody's brought up is the fact that you still have a league that 110%, we still do not have confirmation if it's ever turned a profit. We suspected they might last year, maybe. There were some indications, but nobody really knows. But for 29 years, the league never turned a profit. Maybe for 30 years. You're getting an audience and you're stretching into audiences that have not watched before. And some of them have not watched because they've heard.
Well, maybe instead of chasing the next viral shirt moment or the next headline-grabbing signing, the WNBA tries something wild. Focus on the actual hooping. Let Clark shoot her threes. Let Wilson dominate the paint. Let the games decide who's better instead of a roster move deciding it before the season even starts. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that ever actually grew this league, and it's the only thing that's going to keep growing it. Not politics, not statements, just good basketball, played by women, for women, the way the name on the jersey always said it would be. And they're asking for consistency, for a league that says what it stands for before the cameras are rolling, not after. Until that happens, every signing, every shirt, and every press conference is just going to be another round of the same argument, dressed up in a different jersey,